Ben Davison, because ultimately, no matter what Leigh Wood may or may not have done wrong, Leigh Wood did not cause the end of this fight. Leigh Wood didn't turn his back. Leigh Wood, he could have been more convincing, but at the end of the day, he put his gloves up. He was ready to carry on. It was Ben Davison who ended the fight. Now, these guys, getting paid big money. Ben Davison's getting paid big money. And I don't know whether it'll be worse if he does, but how can you be being paid all this money, and Ben Davison didn't know there was 10 seconds in the round? Maybe, and that's what I'm saying, maybe Ben Davison did know. But your job as a trainer is to be fully aware of everything that's going on. Okay, my fighter's been knocked down. Let me look at the clock. Because that's got to be a key thing here. If you get knocked down and there's 2.5 minutes to go against someone like Lara, that's completely different to 10 seconds left. All he would have to do is put his gloves up and rock and roll, and he'd be through the round. In a fight which he was winning. Now, don't get me wrong. If Lara, had been in this fight and just dragging Leigh Wood from round 1, battering from pillar to post, Leigh Wood's not even in the fight. I get that. You know what? We've been washed. What's the point taking more punishment? Throw the towel in. But Leigh Wood was winning in Not At Home. At this point, there was an argument. Now, in all fairness, Lara was only going to be more menacing. But for all due respect, Leigh Wood had been countering Lara all night. And it's not like, again, Lara wasn't looking great, was he? You arguably caught Lara on his worst night. I've never seen Lara look so flat. This was the best time to capitalise. And you're throwing a towel in. Stealing greatness. Again, I said earlier. What do these new age trainers think? Same as Tunde. Now, again, Beterbiev versus Yard is a slightly different situation. But still, the principle remains. We're talking world champion unification boxing here, the absolute pinnacle. Leigh Wood was defending his belt. Where do they find these guys at? These new age guys are desperate to quit. Oh, we need to worry about safety. 90% of the great moments in boxing wouldn't exist in 2023 because someone like Ben Davison throw the towel in. This could have been a great win for Leigh Wood. He gets off the mat. People just don't get off the mat to win anymore, do they? These days, if someone hits the mat, they've lost because the towel going to be thrown in or whatever. This is where greatness is made. Greatness isn't made on, I've gone in there, had a good win, took no damage. That's not where anyone can win a fight they're winning. Can you win a fight after you've been put down? That's what we were about to find out with Leigh Wood. As a champion. No, you just give your belt up and we'll never know now. Can he be knocked out? You've been training. That's what you train for. Someone said, I think it was someone said, I'm not sure. Carl Froch maybe. That's what these guys are trained. You've trained for this. You've trained for this. You're defending your belt. Yeah, you might go down. Is that not the game we're in? I don't know. Is that not the game? Or did you think you're just going to turn up, go for the motions, and win a fight and not get... I can't get my head around this. It's really quite odd. But Ben Davison is one of the worst corners. I've been saying this. People forget. Go back to Fury versus Wilder 1. The only reason Tyson Fury doesn't have a loss on his record is Freddie Roach. Ben Davison was about to throw the towel in that round... Was it round 11 or round 12 when Fury got put down flat? Ben Davison was about to throw the towel in. Freddie Roach said, sit down somewhere, he fine. And what do we know? Fury comes back as his best round. Do you know what I mean? Like, I kid you not. It's well documented. Ben Davison was about to throw the towel in and essentially ruin Tyson Fury's career for what it's worth. Tyson Fury was about to come back and have his best round. Now, I'm not saying, was Leigh Wood about to have his best round? We'll never know this now, because Ben Davison dashed a towel in. Do you know what I'm saying? It's really quite... The mentality today is really quite odd. It's like safety first. And I'm not someone who's... People think I'm trying to be a Roman... what do they call it? A Roman gladiator. But come on, let's be real. There's a time and a place, I think, for throwing towels in. If you're in a 50-50 fight for belts at the absolute pinnacle, at your home ground, it's not a time to be throwing towels in. Let it go until it's over. I actually believe, you know what, for me, I believe if you're doing lower level fights, if you're fighting at British level or whatever else, I actually believe for world championship honours, for millions of dollars, there shouldn't even be a towel. You go until it's over, full stop, no towels. You go in there, if you get knocked out, you fight until it's over. That's how I feel, at the pinnacle. Yeah? You go until it's over. There shouldn't be no towels. If the fighter doesn't want to carry on, he can sit down. That's how it should be. Because I don't understand this. With all due respect, Ben Davidson, fighters have a limited career in as much as Ben Davidson is 30 years old. He can go training people for the next 40 years. Leigh Wood's got a limited amount of time to make money, and people like Ben Davidson can flop from ruining one fighter's career to the next. It doesn't make a difference to him if you've just lost your belt because he threw a towel in. Now Leigh Wood is no longer a champion in a fight he was winning because Ben Davidson threw the towel in. Do you know what I'm saying? These fighters have one career. You have one career. You don't have an opportunity like trainers do to flop in and out of different people's careers and pick it up. You have one career. You have one legacy. And arguably, Ben Davidson does ruin this guy's legacy. Now, in all fairness, well, not in all fairness, but luckily for Leigh Wood and Eddie Hearn put a rematch clause. So he will be entitled to get a rematch. And I think it'll be a great rematch. I can't lie to you. I think Lara's learnt some things. Lara will have to, even though Lara won, he will have to come with something different in the rematch, I believe. Unless he just gets lucky again. But I ain't gonna lie to you. That, for me, was a lucky punch. It wasn't earned. It wasn't built up. There was no momentum. Lara had no momentum. I can't remember the last time he won a round. It was looking bad for Lara. And he got, I wouldn't call it, whatever. It looked to me a bit like a lucky punch. I ain't gonna lie to you. So, the fight's even more enthralling now, based on what we saw. I thought Lara was gonna blow the guy away. That's not what we saw. But I actually think, I ain't gonna lie, and that's the thing. Great moments. I think, once again, we've been robbed of a great moment. In my mind, I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, Leigh Wood had just been knocked down in a fight he was looking strong in a fight he was backing the pressure fighter up in. There was only 10 seconds to go. I think Leigh Wood, yes, Lara was great finishing, yeah. I think Leigh Wood was cute enough to get through to the round. So he'd had a full minute to recover. Imagine how exciting that round 8 was going to be. Because really, Lara needed that. That was the great equaliser, I feel, from a momentum point of view. Up until that point, Lara had no momentum. So for me, if Leigh Wood had been allowed to make round 8, that would have made the fight back to, it's kind of like, yeah, Leigh Wood's out boxing, but now it's all evened up. For me, that knockdown made the fight even, where before it was Leigh Wood running away with it. So the fight was, Ben Davidson threw the towel in on a fight that was 50-50 essentially at that point, in my opinion. Obviously, immediately the momentum was with Lara, but who's to say that Leigh Wood couldn't negotiate that situation? Especially given how he dealt with Lara in the early rounds. So only round 2 or 3, Leigh Wood got hit with a few big shots and came back to have his best rounds. Why couldn't that have happened again? I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that at that point, was Leigh Wood still the favourite? Of course not. Of course, I'm going to back Lara after knocking down Leigh Wood, but look through history. How many times a fighter's been knocked down and then lost the fight? Or then won the fight. It's gone every other way. We've seen fighters knocked down, to then knock the guy down, and then to lose. It goes all the other. That's how it's supposed to go. That's how great moments are formed. Great moments aren't formed. We're dominating a fight. We've just been knocked down. The guy's up. It's not even like Leigh Wood, yeah. Yes, he could have looked more convincing, but he wasn't stumbling. For example, look at Chris Ubambi Jr. When Chris Ubambi Jr. got smoked by Liam Smith, that looked a bit iffy, didn't it? Leigh Wood wasn't Ubambi. He was ready to squabble. And Ben Davidson stole his greatness, trying to be all in the video. These trainers, these new age trainers, they be doing too much. I don't know whether they want to get involved. I don't know whether they feel they need to get involved. I don't know what it is. They're antsy, aren't they? It's like they're full of Adderall. They're just desperate to just buzz. You know what I mean? It's like they can't sit down. Sit down somewhere and relax. Ben Davidson, to me, it's almost as if he's not supposed to be in the fight game. So it's like he don't understand it. Ben Davidson, do you understand? It's the fight game, and people will get hit, and they will get hurt, and they will go down. Do you not get that? But bearing in mind, Ben Davidson was about to throw the towel in on Tyson Fury. Tony Bellin was saying, we can't judge Ben Davidson because Ben Davidson's been in camp with Leigh Wood, so he knows him better than anyone. Well, I'm sorry to say, Tony Bellin, but if you had said the same thing about Tyson Fury versus Wilder 1, the fight would have been off and Tyson Fury would have lost. And how Tyson Fury had his best round after being knocked down. At the same time, Ben Davidson wanted to stop the fight. So I'd argue Ben Davidson don't know what his fighters... I'd argue Ben Davidson hasn't been in camp with his fighters. I'd argue Ben Davidson doesn't really know what's going on. I think the only thing Ben Davidson knows is how to panic. And you know what? Let me throw it in. I think Ben Davidson, Ben Davidson's a panicker. He shouldn't be in this game, I don't believe. Ben Davidson's like a nanny. Well, Ben Davidson would make a great auntie. You know how aunties care for people and don't want to see people hurt? That's Ben Davidson. Ben Davidson isn't a pinnacle, world championship level boxing trainer. He's not. He will every time steal greatness away from you. And still, with all due respect, steal your belts. He will give you losses. Tonight, I'm sorry. For me, tonight, Lara didn't earn that win. He may, listen, at that point in time, he may have well gone on to earn the win, but for me, it's not like, for example, if Lara had a KO'd Leigh Wood cold, obviously, Lara earned the win, but I think Lara, to some extent, was gifted the win by Ben Davidson. It's not Lara's fault. Listen, Lara did what he's supposed to do. But I do feel Leigh Wood's been a bit cheated here by his own team. Lara just did what he's supposed to do. But Leigh Wood's been... I don't think Leigh Wood really lost tonight himself. His team lost him this fight. Usually, it's quite rare, really, a team can lose you a fight. Tonight, Ben Davidson and Leigh Wood's team lost him this fight. Now, for example, let's say Ben Davidson let the fight go on, and Lara then went on to stop Leigh Wood. At that point, we can say Leigh Wood lost the fight. Leigh Wood himself lost himself the fight, but we can't say that. I'm sorry. Based on what I saw, I can't say that Leigh Wood lost this fight tonight. Himself. He took a big shot. I mean, let's think about it for a second. What more could Leigh Wood have done? He took a big shot, got put down, got up, made the count, put his gloves up, and the towel goes in. What more? Wait a minute. What more was Ben Davidson expecting? No, I don't know. Is it a case of Ben Davidson told Leigh Wood, Leigh, if you get put down, I want to see you doing jumping jacks? I don't know. Yeah? And that actually might be, if I'm a trainer, that might be something I implement, you know. I might tell my fighter, listen, if you get knocked down, when you get back up, I want you to do 2 little jumps. And that'll tell me that you've remembered what I've told you, and hence, you are competent to carry on fighting. Now, if a fighter gets knocked down and has forgotten what we've drilled, and has forgotten to do the 2 jumps, then that implies, wait a minute, he's forgotten what we've been training for the last year, he probably ain't thinking straight, throw the towel in. Is that the case? I doubt it, because Ben Davidson, he ain't that deep. Ben Davidson is desperate to panic and lose his man to belts. This is the absolute clutch moment, people. The pinnacle of the sport. You're in there with a heavy puncher and you panic and ruin the guy's career now. Leigh Wood belts have gone, and it's only because Eddie Hearn we even have the rematch clause. If it wasn't for that, this guy Leigh Wood would be any man now. Let's not also forget, Leigh Wood's a 34-year-old. He ain't going to have many more of these chances. This was his big chance. This was his big run. He beat Michael Conlan. This is his big run. Arguably, Leigh Wood ain't gonna be around again. Now again, luckily he has the rematch clause, but still, you don't do that to a guy. I'm not a specialist on Leigh Wood yet, but from what I've heard, the earlier part of his career wasn't great. So you've got a guy at 34 years old, hasn't had a great career. This is his time. Like I said earlier, he doesn't have 40 more years of boxing like Ben Davidson has of messing up people's careers. This is his time. Let him go out on his own way. Now listen, yeah? If Ben Davidson lets the fight continue and Leigh Wood gets KO cold, end of the day, we're all adults, we're all men. He knows what he signed up for. Do you know what I'm saying? And let's not also forget, people, Leigh Wood, he's his own man. Meaning that at any time, yeah, if Leigh Wood doesn't want to continue, he can sit in the corner as many other boxers, Billy Joe Saunders, have done. And that's how I feel. I'm much more liberal in this as a trainer, I feel. Leigh Wood's his own man. Let him go out on his own shield. Now, obviously, if it's completely clear, like Eubank Jr., if Leigh Wood's stumbling and completely out of it, then yeah, man, throw the towel in. But otherwise, outside of complete obviousness, trainers should let it go until it's over at that level. At the World Championship level, it should go until it's over. That should be the standard. Not all. Again, he couldn't. Leigh Wood, from what I saw, couldn't really. He could have been a little bit more convincing, but who cares about that? It's a fight. And there was 10 seconds to go. I can't. These guys, and you wouldn't believe, no doubt, yeah. Ben Davidson just probably made 100 grand tonight. I think Leigh Wood probably got paid $1 million tonight. Ben Davidson just made 100 grand on that performance to lose his man the belt. In a fight he was willing to continue in. Fair enough, yeah. Let's say Leigh Wood got up and didn't put his gloves up. Then, you know what? Ben Davidson can throw the towel in. And if Leigh Wood complains, you say, listen, boss, the referee gave you instructions. You didn't follow them. I had no choice. But he was doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. And still that wasn't enough for Ben Davidson. He threw the towel in. And what gets me is, I played the clip earlier, Ben Davidson was saying, oh, this is an easier fight than Conlan. Oh, we're a heavier puncher than Lara. If you believe all that, why are you jacking now for? Why are you quitting now for, if you believe all that talk? From what I remember, Leigh Wood and Conlan was a 50-50 fight going back and forth. He was taking loads of shots in that fight. Actually, that fight was more punishing for Leigh Wood than this fight was. Yes, on paper, Lara's more dangerous, but in terms of wear and tear, Leigh Wood went through it in that Conlan fight. He was getting touched all over. It's like, what the fuck? Your man's winning this fight. Apart from and up to the knockdown, really, honestly, I'm going to be real here. I didn't really rate Leigh Wood, but up until that magical punch landed, I'd bet no one, even Leigh Wood fans, deep down inside, you can't tell me you expected the fight to be going that well. Let's be real here. God's honest truth, I don't think Leigh Wood could have been doing any better if he tried. Out of 10, yeah, Leigh Wood was having a 9 out of 10 performance. Lara looked completely just lost. I'm going to be real with you. Lara wasn't doing nothing. I ain't going to lie. Lara wasn't doing nothing. Leigh Wood was having a 9 out of 10 performance. Do you know what I mean? The odds had shifted. Leigh Wood went from being a 4 or 5 to 1 underdog to being the favourite. That's how much it had shifted. That's the work Leigh Wood was doing. Leigh Wood took the odds from 5 to 1 to 50-50 and better. It actually ended up, at one point, at the peak, it was in his favour. He was set to win the fight. Perfect. The fight was going perfect. You get knocked down and your man trainer dashed the towel in. What are we doing here, people? What is going on in this sport? These new age guys are so soft. We'll never know now. Same as Anthony Yard in there with a 40-year-old Beterbiev. Anthony Yard, the young hungry lion, in there with a 40-year-old Beterbiev. His hands were up. He was ready to defend. And Tunde threw the towel in. We'll never know. And I'm not saying, am I sitting here telling you that, Yard was 100% certain to win the fight? No, I'm saying, look at Tyson versus Buster Douglas. Tyson versus Buster Douglas. Tyson knocked down Buster and almost counted him out. Next thing you know, Tyson out of there. You know what I mean? Buster Douglas' whole career was based on that. So like in this game, this ain't like other games. There's no such thing as a runaway winner. In that sense, you always have a chance, especially when you're winning the fight. Especially when you've won the last 5 rounds on the trot. Fucking hell, this frustrates me. My backside was twitching. I was effed off thinking, YB, you melon, you've just lost yourself $100. I put 100 quid on to make 120, to make 20 quid. I thought, what have you done that for? Why have you blown $100 to make 20? You melon. I was pissed off. YB, why'd you have to be a gambling fiend and put money on? And you know what I mean? So for me to be feeling that after backing Lara, that tells you how bad it was going. I thought the fight was lost. I'm going to be real with you. I thought, Lara had give us nothing, to say you're going to win this fight. I'm sorry. I'd seen nothing from Lara. I'd seen nothing from Lara to tell us he's going to win this fight. He essentially lands a lucky punch, and Ben Davidson passes Lara to win. I don't know, man. It's shameful. The quality of trainers are shameful. And they all give it, in all fairness, well, Ben Davidson not so much, but Tunde, they all give it this mentality of, we're this, that, the other. But when it comes to it, lines in the camp, all that kind of talk, it's no good. Lines in the camp, we don't need to hear that against a bum. Lines in the camp is what you do after being knocked down. That's where we find out who lying in the camp or not. Going in there and blowing some bum away, that's not lying in the camp. Lying in the camp is, okay, I'm in there, a 40-year-old Baturbiev, I'm the young bull. I'm the 30-year-old fresh dude from London who about to get busy on this guy. That's where you find out about lions in the camp. My man throw the towel in. Like, where are they doing this? Where are they doing this at? And I understand. Yes, people, like this whole thing about brain damage, and it's too hyped up, man, in my opinion. It's too hyped up. And after all, for me, anyone, trainer or fighter, who's going into a fight worrying about brain damage should be retired. Do you get that? Yeah? If your trainer's got an itchy trigger finger and desperate to throw the towel in, he need to sit down. If you're worried about your fighter taking too much damage, he shouldn't be going into the fight, innit? If your fighter's that wear down, where you think there's serious risk here, what's he doing in the ring for? If you don't think Leigh Wood can be put down once and get up to win, he shouldn't be fighting anyway, in my opinion. Or very least, you shouldn't be training him. What's Ben Davidson doing training a guy who he thinks can't take one knockdown? It don't make no sense, does it? Or did Ben Davidson think he was just going to turn up and coast this fight? And let me say this now, at the world level, from now on, world championship level fights, I don't want to see or hear no one expecting not to be knocked down. That should be the standard for me. If I'm training someone for a world championship fight, I'd tell my fighter, listen, assume you're going to get knocked down. Assume you're going to have to come off the canvas to win. Are you okay with that reality? If you're not, retire and sit down somewhere. That should be well understood, in my opinion. Otherwise, I'm sure, we can all win a fight that we're winning. Who can't win a fight that they're winning? What matters is, can you win a fight that you're not winning? I mean, well, Leigh Wood's point of view, he was right there. Leigh Wood, can you win a fight that he was already winning? It's madness. Ben Davison, one of the worst. I don't understand. How does Ben Davison keep getting these jobs? I saw Ben Davison in Devin Haney's corner. Oh my God, get Ben Davison out of there. And I can just imagine it now. Devin Haney versus Gervonta Davis. Devin Haney's in there. He's up 6 rounds. Gets hit. Ben Davison throwing the towel in. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's mad. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the comments. I think I've had a little piece of... Let's check the coin. I think a few coins came through still. So I want to see you, man, in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let's have a look at these ones here still. Big shout out to my doggy, Polo, for coming through. Wood was overrated. I can't say that, man. I'm sorry. I don't think Wood was overrated. I think Wood was out. I think Wood was... Listen, can people say Wood's chin is overrated? In all fairness, though, Wood... Look at Tyson Fury. Having a good chin isn't about not going down. Having a good chin is about how you recover. Tyson Fury doesn't have a cast iron chin, but he recovers well. He knows how to get back up and continue fighting. So I'm sorry, from what I saw, Wood was underrated. And the odds agree with that. The performance we saw, it's one or the other. Wood, I underrated Wood, but actually no, I think it was more Lara. Lara sucked tonight, I'm going to be real with you. I didn't see anything from Lara. For the last 5 rounds until the stoppage, I didn't see nothing from him. I don't know what he was... Honestly, I don't know what he was doing. It looked like to me almost as if Lara was in a sparring session and he was kind of going through the motions with a young blood. Yeah? It's almost like, oh, Lara, I've got this 14-year-old boy. He wants to spar with a world champion level dude. Put him in there. That's how it looked. Lara was just in there with his guard up, having a few looks. Just weren't letting his hands go. And Leigh was just getting off. I don't know. It was really quite... I'm not sure what was going on. Really odd. That's what I saw anyway. It looked really bad. And the odds reflect that.